Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, July 21st, 2016. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Former Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell, in an exclusive interview with SVG-TV News, has confirmed that there was an actual bidding process in the selection of hotelier Anne Joshua and restaurateur Basil Charles to operate the government-owned Cobblestone building. Upon investigation of a letter being circulated on social media, SVG-TV News team contacted Sir James, who is currently in St. Kitts. When asked whether there had been a fair and transparent bidding for persons selected to operate the Cobblestone Inn during his time in office, Sir James outlined that bids were invited for tender and several persons placed their bids. Sir James pointed out that during the 80s, when he was in government, he found that there were many government buildings not in use, and ensured that there was a policy to have the business sector utilize them. He, however, outlined that the decision had been taken not to sell but to lease the century-old building.
With regard to Cobblestone, Patrick Hughes was dealing with it, and we had to decide whether we would sell it or lease it. Nobody seemed to be in a position to buy it because I was absolutely convinced, and my policy was, we were creating a property-owning democracy, and I wanted to make sure that things were done properly, and the private sector moved into production wherever government had assets. And in the case of Cobblestone, Patrick Hughes was invited to see if he could deal with it as chairman, and he certainly did. And he made recommendations to me after the bids were invited for dealing with Cobblestone, and we had other things going on with regard to the roll-on, roll-off also.
Sir James further revealed that Charles and Joshua were best suited for the operations of the Cobblestone Inn because of their extensive experience and worthwhile bid.
That we should move for the people with experience to manage the affair. I knew that Anne Joshua had worked in Beckwith with Spring Estates, at Spring Hotel. I knew that she was also on the staff there working at Cobblestone, and she knew the inns of Cobblestone. And I had experience and knowledge of Basil's operation in Mustique. So when the two combined to put in a proposal, which was, in my view and in the view of Mr. Hughes, they were the best offer. I recommended to him that we accept the offer from Charles and Joshua. And subsequently, they performed, and were still performing, and we extended the lease from time to time and increased the fees on the lease. I concluded that they were the best person from those who had offered. I did go and look for Joshua and Basil and give it to them. No way. That was not how I operated, not the way I operated throughout my life in government.
When questioned about the abrupt termination of Joshua's occupancy of the Cobblestone building, Sir James had this to say.
Do you agree with the way that, I don't know if you want to comment, it's up to you, the way that Miss Joshua has been, quit or evicted from the
I have no comment about that.
Efforts were made to contact Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves for a response, but he was out of state attending the OECS Assembly meeting in Antigua. The new Democratic Party's representative for West Kingstown, Daniel Cummings, commented that the bidding process for the Cobblestone Inn building was above board. Cummings, who was at the time speaking on NDP's New Times program, read from a letter dated the 9th of May 1986 to the then chairman of the National Hotels Limited from then Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell, approving a bid from Joshua and Charles. Cummings stated that the process had been open to the public and the bid from Joshua and Charles was not the only one.
Government is satisfied that the Charles Joshua bid is appropriate and that they will provide what is needed at this point of time. I therefore approve the lease to Charles Joshua on the terms indicated. Please contact the Solicitor General and have Mr. Lewis and Mr. Pradesani cooperate in the transfer.
You see,
and they want to give the impression
yes,
that this was an underhanded thing that didn't go through a standard process.
Standard, you can't have two leading bids if you didn't have several bids.
But it's very clear that there was an above-board process.
It was a process.
The members of the public were invited.
Yes.
The two lowest bids were selected.
Executive Director of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Anthony Regisford, has said that the role of his organization is to provide a bridge between its members and the public sector. During an interview with SVG Television, Regisford stated that members of the chamber are normally called upon to sit on select committees of the House of Assembly to discuss draft bills, and so the chamber is able to provide feedback from and to the private sector and the government.
We sit on select committees of the House when we're invited to discuss draft bills. So the private sector makes an input via the chamber on things like that. I will have you know that the chamber is invited to sit on several statutory boards, government statutory boards, so that we can make inputs at that level. So we are integrated, and we continue to try to build relationships with our stakeholders, all in an effort to serve our members and to fulfill our mandate, which essentially is to facilitate an environment that makes doing business better.
Regisford added that the chamber recently held a seminar to discuss the draft Occupational Health and Safety Bill, and by so doing was able to brief the business community on the requirements of the bill and also provide members' feedback to the government.
And when that bill becomes law, there are certain things in that bill where, well, everything in the bill, or the law as it would be then, that businesses have to comply with. So what are the implications for compliance? How much money is it going to cost you to put in a fire exit? You don't have one now. How much money is it going to cost you to train your staff in a particular way so that they can be compliant with some of the safety regulations? All of these things, you know, if you have a production line and a worker feels that the production process is not safe, it is a hazard to their health, the law has a provision to deal with that. Businesses need to understand that.
CARICOM Secretariat Communications Specialist Silas Hamilton says the only way to ensure that the benefits of the CARICOM single market and economy can be achieved is for CARICOM member states to take ownership in engaging their stakeholders. His remarks came at a CSME Private Sector and Rural Communities workshop, which is part of the CSME Public Awareness Program. Making reference to the 19th European Development Fund, the EDF, Caribbean Integration Support Program, Hamilton noted that the workshop sought to sensitize stakeholders on what is going on in the CSME in the hope of securing a greater overall involvement.
At the last CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Guyana earlier this month, there was a call for more public education, and in fact, the specific term was for a multimedia campaign. We are here today carrying out some of this with the understanding that the private sector and rural communities are critical to the integration process. You need to be updated on the CSME processes that can be of benefit to you specifically. Years ago, we began to segment the market with the realization that different audiences needed different information, and this is reflected in our awareness exercises.
Hamilton thanked the European Union and this nation's Ministry of Foreign Affairs for their continued involvement towards the enhancement of regional integration.
The European Union continues to be a willing partner in the regional integration movement, and some of these resources are rightly targeted for stakeholder buy-in through public education. As we look across the globe and see international developments, especially with regard to Brexit, we see our leaders calling for more integration, understanding that through strength in unity, we will proceed.
CSME's focal point in SVG, Sylvan Jack, noted that while regional cooperation and integration had its challenges, it was necessary for the development of the economies across the region.
We were removing barriers to allow for the free movement of people, the free movement of goods, free movement of services, free movement of capital, and the right of a business to establish in any of the CARICOM countries. Nevertheless, the region continues to be our main export market for agricultural produce. It is an important tourism market for us. It is a source of raw material, and we continue to join together in trade agreements, and we recognize that there is a need for continually working together so that we can achieve more benefits and that we can overcome the challenges that may confront us.
Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Colin John will assume a new office within the National Security System of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as of Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016. The former police officer will re-enter the gates of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Headquarters as this nation's new Deputy Commissioner of Police. In an interview with SVG-TV earlier today, John expressed his elation for the opportunity to further serve St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as he had done through various departments before he entered the law fraternity.
I concluded that the police force, and I hope St. Vincent and the Grenadines, would be a better place as a result of my going back to the police force. That was the deciding factor. Police work is a very dynamic work. There's nothing can prepare you for the everyday, because on any particular day, something might occur that you might never have experienced before. But I think based on my training and my experience as a police officer, I am as good as any, and I think better than many, to face whatever challenge that may come my way.
Noting that crime continues to plague the Vincentian society, John noted that once in office, he will strive to promote proper policing to the people of SVG.
There's the perceived fear of murders and other serious crimes like robbery, and there's a genuine concern for the public. That would be number one priority. The old cliche that a person's home is their castle should really be a reality. You should be comfortable in your home, and you should be comfortable when you choose to leave your home. By presenting proper policing, the public should feel safe doing their business or relaxing in their home, as the case may be.
John said he will look into the possibility of having officers fully equipped with the necessary skills to execute their jobs, and expressed a hope that once in office, he would receive the full cooperation of both the RSVG police force and the Vincentian public.
Performance, it's about your involvement in the organization, it's about your level of professionalism, it's about your attitude and your aptitude towards the job. I think some police officers are apprehensive because they're not versed as to the powers of arrest or powers of search. So I would encourage, or as far as possible, try to create policies so that police officers would be more equipped and educated. I look forward to the cooperation of the public. I look forward to the cooperation of the members of the police force. The police is a service organization, and we should treat the public with the level of respect and the level of professionalism that they deserve. While you enforce the law, I would expect that the police to be doing it respectfully and to treat each person the way that they would want to be treated.
The SVG Helping Hands Incorporated has donated a barrel of medical supplies to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. During the handing over ceremony, Sharon Childs, representative of the Helping Hands Incorporated, said that she was proud to be part of an organization which could give back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
This is our fourth donation that we are giving to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. Originally, the first gift would have been about 100 sheets and other stuff. Secondly, we would have donated to the pediatric section some baby clothing, diapers, and etc. And then we gave on our third delivery, we did stuff like strollers, walkers, crutches, and other medicinal stuff. And here now is our other donation that I'm going to hand over to our hospital administrator, Mrs. Grace Walters. And I hope that these items will go a long way. This organization has been sending stuff here for over the past 8 years, and being the local liaison officer, I feel honored to be doing this for our country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Thank you.
Also speaking at the ceremony was hospital assistant Grace Walters, who thanked Helping Hands for its donation.
On behalf of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, a donation from the SVG Helping Hands Inc. out of California, presenting to us some medical supplies that are much needed to help us to perform our daily duties in rendering care and services to the Vincentian populace. We want to express our sincere gratitude, our thanks on behalf of the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and on behalf of the ministry. Thank you very much, and we look forward to receiving more.
This country's homicide rate has jumped to 20 with the death of 32-year-old Carmel Jones. Jones, a resident of Union Island, was attacked in Vermont on Wednesday night, July 20th at around 11 p.m., where he was visiting. According to police reports, Jones received several gunshots as well as several chop wounds to the back of his head and about his body. SVG-TV News visited the residence of Belle Gordon, with whom the deceased Jones stayed whenever he visited the mainland. According to Gordon, she was alerted after hearing the series of gunshots. She explains the horrific ordeal that occurred at her home.
Yeah, this bullet fire. I jump up and I sit down. I hear the second one. I said to myself, what is happening out there? And the dog started to bark. I said, anytime that dog bark, somebody around. So I come out, come into the door, and the same granddaughter, she pulled me back to say, Granny, you wherever you ain't gonna bus out there and you going out? I said, girl, something happening in my yard. I have to go. Anyhow, she go to the window to the kitchen and she look out. She said she don't see nobody. I said, I don't see nobody in the yard.
A tearful Gordon tells SVG-TV News she was very uneasy as to what occurred at her residence.
I go there and I call the guy, I knock the door with that stick and nobody respond. So I go to the road and I wait till the others come. And I say, also, it's as if the guy dead down there. So he and Thaddeus go and myself, and we meet him down with that.
On his back or his stomach?
As if he get up to sit down, and the bullet flashed him in the head from the window, and he fall back on the bed, 1 foot off and 1 up.
Gordon, who mentioned that the deceased Jones was the friend of one of her sons, noted the deceased also received severe chopped wounds.
This hand, one of his hands, is just a piece of skin, hold it up.
Where else did he get?
All in his neck here, all about in the neck, and on his belly up about all about here.
Does it seem as if he put up a fight against his...
No, I don't think so. If he did, I would have heard him.
Meantime, Gordon's granddaughter, Desiree Slater, explained what she experienced on the night of the disturbing events.
I heard this loud sound and the dog continuously barking. So when I come outside now, my grandmother already there outside. She pulling across the curtain to see who the outside is at, and she know come back in because next thing now, they see you, they're going to come after both of us. I see we as witness and kill both of us. She listened to me. Then afterwards I went back inside. When I went back inside now, they fire a bullet right behind me.
Did you even hear any sound coming out from the downstairs as to whether he was screaming or anything?
No, I didn't hear anything. Only when they started to fire the bullets, that is when I actually heard that somebody was in the yard. But before that, the dog was barking.
Jones was pronounced dead on the scene.